Samsy. Samsy. Hey guys, here we go. Okay. Story time with the adventure truck. And what are we doing? The island of Dr. Moreau. This is it, baby. We finishing this sucker up. This is the final bit. All right, where are we at? Oh, we in the adventure truck. And it's an adventure truck because it's got a cassette toilet in the back seat, and so that adds like $100,000 to it just right out the bat. We up in Colorado, and somewhere between Rico and Dolores on Colorado 145, I guess. And with my truck, I can pretty much go anywhere, and I've got lots of options to pretty much go anywhere. I've got the carrier on the top there for all kinds of junk. I got the tonneau cover there, a diamondback hard tonneau cover there that you can put an ATV or something up on. I got me a bat wing on the side over there. It's set up pretty good for that kind of hard-ass camping kind of thing. And I take turns depending on how I feel as where I'm going to sleep. I took the back seat out of the truck there, and so I can sleep in there, or I can sleep on the deck at the back there, or a hammock, or just a tent, anything like that. But the beautiful part of the truck is with that cover on it there, all my gear stays nice and secure and dry in the bed of the truck. So it's a 2500, so it can pretty much carry as much water as I ever need and that kind of thing. So anyway, that's enough of that rambling and rolling. This story. We're going to finish this thing up today. And Prendick, the animals, the beast people had fully reverted, and his dog friend had been killed. The hyena swine had killed him, and he'd killed the hyena swine, so everything was just going badly, and he just renewed his efforts. He thought he had better build him a raft. He's got a better chance out on the open sea than he does with whatever remaining beast people, because they was fully returned back to beast mode. Okay, this story, let's get going now. So he's trying to build him a raft. Here we go. I found 1,000 difficulties. I am an extremely unhandy man. My schooling was over before the days of, oh boy, I don't know that word, slogid, but most of the requirements of a raft I met at last in some clumsy, circuitous way or another. And this time I took care of the strength. The only insurmountable obstacle was that I had no vessel to contain the water I should need if I floated forth upon these untraveled seas. I would have even tried pottery, but the island contained no clay. I used to go moping about the island, trying with all my might to solve this one last difficulty. Sometimes I would give way to wild outbursts of rage and hack and splinter some unlucky tree in my intolerable vexation. But I could think of nothing. And then came a day, a wonderful day, that I spent in ecstasy. I saw a sail to the southwest, a small sail like that of a little schooner, and forthwith I lit a great pile of brushwood, and stood by it in the heat of the midday sun, watching. All day I watched that sail, eating or drinking nothing, so that my head reeled, and the beast came and glared at me, and seemed to wonder, and went away. The boat was still distant when night came, and swallowed it up. And all night I toiled to keep my blaze bright and high, and the eyes of the beast shone out of the darkness, marveling. In the dawn it was nearer, and I saw it was the dirty, lug sail of a small boat. My eyes were weary with watching, and I peered and could not believe them. 2 men were in the boat, sitting low down, one by the bows and the other at the rudder. But the boat sailed strangely. The head was not kept to the wind. It yawned and fell away. As the day grew brighter, I began waving the last rag of my jacket to them, but they did not notice me. I sat still facing one another, and sat still facing one another. I went, boy, it's going to be a rough day. It's going to be a rough day. Let's take a look at this drive. Oh, yeah, so exciting. So exciting. It is a beautiful area there, all along that, the river there, the Dolores, I guess. And lots of people boondock here. In fact, I think lots of people live in some of these areas all summer long, which is really not so good. I went to the lowest. Oh yeah, you'll find, like, if you happen to spend some time up here, you're going to come across people who have just given up, and they found some old bus or something, and they just go park out there, and then it quits running, so there it sits there, and then it gets abandoned and that kind of thing. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I went to the lowest point of the low headland and gesticulated and shouted. There was no response, and the boat kept on her aimless course, making slowly, very slowly, for the bay. Suddenly a great white bird flew up out of the boat, and neither of the men stirred nor noticed it. It circled around, and then came sweeping overhead with its strong wings outspread. Then I stopped shouting and sat down on the headland and rested my chin on my hands and stared. Slowly, slowly, the boat drove past towards the west. I would have swum out to it, but something, a cold, vague fear, kept me back. In the afternoon, the tide stranded it and left it 100 yards or so to the westward of the ruins of the enclosure. The men in it were dead, had been dead so long that they fell to pieces when I tilted the boat on its side and dragged them out. One had a shock of red hair like the captain of the I.P. Kukawana, and a dirty white cap lay in the bottom of the boat. As I stood beside the boat, 3 of the beasts came slinking out of the bushes and sniffing towards me. One of my spasms of disgust came upon me. I thrust the little boat down the beach and clambered on board. 2 of the brutes were wolf beasts and came forward with quivering nostrils and glittering eyes. The third, the horrible nondescript of bear and bull. When I saw them approaching, those wretched remains, heard them snarling at one another, and caught the gleam of their teeth, a frantic horror succeeded my repulsion. I turned my back upon them, struck the lug, and began paddling out to sea. I could not bring myself to look behind me. But I lay between the reef and the island that night, and in the next morning went round to the stream and filled the empty keg aboard with water. Then, with such patience as I could command, I collected a quantity of fruit and waylaid and killed 2 rabbits with my last 3 cartridges. What are you, nuts? While I was doing this, I left the boat moored to an inward projection of the reef for fear of the beast monsters. Okay. All right, so we rolling along here. We on the last chapter. Chapter 22. The Man Alone. Whew, okay. In the evening, I started and drove out to sea before a gentle wind from the southwest. Slowly and steadily, and the island grew smaller and smaller, and the lank spire of smoke dwindled to a finer and finer against the hot sunset. The ocean rose up around me, hiding that low, dark patch from my eyes. The daylight, the trailing glory of the sun, went streaming out of the sky, was drawn aside like some luminous curtain, and at last I looked into the blue gulf of immensity that the sunshine hides, and saw the floating hosts of the stars. The sea was silent, the sky was silent. I was alone with the night and silence. So I drifted for 3 days, eating and drinking sparingly, and meditating upon all that had happened to me, nor desiring very greatly to see men again. One unclean rag was about me, my hair a black tangle. No doubt my discoverers thought me a madman. It is strange, but I felt no desire to return to mankind. I was only glad to be quit of the foulness of the beast monsters. And on the 3rd day, I was picked up by a brig from Apia to San Francisco. Neither the captain nor the mate would believe my story, judging that solitude and danger had made me mad, and fearing their opinion might be that of others, I refrained from telling my adventure further. Yeah, you're not gonna. Who's gonna believe you with the beast people, right? And professed to recall nothing that had happened to me between the loss of the Lady Vane and the time when I was picked up again. The space of a year. I had to act with the utmost circumspection to save myself from the suspicion of insanity, the memory of the law, of the 2 dead sailors, of the abuscances of the darkness, of the body in the canebrake, haunted me. And, unnatural as it seems, with my return to mankind came instead of that confidence and sympathy I had expected, a strange enhancement of the uncertainty and dread I had experienced during my stay upon the island. No one would believe me. I was almost queer to men as I had been to the beast people. I may have caught something of the natural wildness of my companions. They say that terror is a disease, and anyhow, I can witness that for several years now, a restless fear has dwelt in my mind. Such a restless fear as a half-tamed lion cub may feel. All right, let's take a look, see what's happening. Nothing, we're just driving. Okay, what do I got in the back there? Oh, that's I got one of them clam rooms up there. Oh yeah, I was fully set up with that thing. A lot of fun. Okay, my trouble took the strangest form. I could not persuade myself that the men and women I met were not also another, still passably human, beast people, animals half wrought into the outward image of human souls, and that they would presently begin to revert, to show this bestial mark and then that. But I have confided my case to a strangely able man, a man who had known Moreau and seemed half to credit my story, a mental specialist, and he has helped me mightily. Though I do not expect that the terror of that island will ever altogether leave me, at most times it lies far in the back of my mind, a mere distant cloud, a memory and a faint distrust. But there are times the little cloud spreads until it obscures the whole sky. Then I look about me at my fellow men, and I go in fear. I see faces keen and bright, others dull and dangerous, others unsteady, insincere, none of them, none that have the calm authority of a reasonable soul. I feel as though the animal was surging up through them, that presently the degradation of the islanders will be played over again on a larger scale. I know this is an illusion, that these seeming men and women about me are indeed men and women forever, perfectly reasonable creatures, full of human desires and tender solicitude, emancipated from instinct, and the slaves of no fantastic law, beings altogether different from the beast folk. Yet I shrink from them, from the curious glances their inquirers and assistants, and long to be away from them and alone. For that reason, I live near the broad, free downland, and can escape thither when the shadow is over my soul. And very sweet is the empty downland then, under the wind-swept sky. When I lived in London, the horror was well nigh insupportable. I could not get away from men. Their voices came through windows, locked doors were flimsy safeguards. I would go out into the streets to fight with my delusion, and prowling women would mew after me. Furtive, craving men glanced jealously at me. Weary, pale workers go coughing by me with tired eyes and eager paces like wounded deer dripping blood. Old people, bent and dull, pass murdering to themselves. Murdering. Let's go with murmuring to themselves, and all unheeding a ragged tale of gibbing children. Then I would turn aside into some chapel, and even there, such was my disturbance, it seemed that the preacher gibbered big thinks, even as the ape man had done, or into some library, and there the intent faces over the books seemed but patient creatures waiting for prey. Particularly nauseous were the blank faces of people in trains and omnibuses. They seemed no more my fellow creatures than dead bodies would be, so that I did not dare to travel unless I was assured of being alone. And even if it seemed that I, too, was not a reasonable creature, but only an animal tormented with some strange disorder in its brain that sent it to wander alone, like a sheep stricken with the gid. Oh, that must be something. We'll have to maybe look that one up. But this is a mood that comes to me now, I thank God. More rarely. I have withdrawn myself from the confusion of cities and multitudes, and I spend my days surrounded by wise books, bright windows in this life of ours lit by the shining souls of men. I see few strangers and have but a small household. My days I devote to reading and to experiments in chemistry, and I spend most of the clear nights in the study of astronomy. There is, though I do not know how there is, so why there is, a sense of infinite peace and protection in the glittering hosts of the heaven. There it must be, I think, in the vast and eternal laws of matter, and not in the daily cares and sins and troubles of men, that whatever more than animal within us must find its solace and its hope. I hope, or I could not live. And so, in hope and solitude, my story ends. Oh, Edward Prendick. We got a little note here. Let's just see what happens if we take a look at this little note. Note: the substance of the chapter entitled Dr. Moreau Explains, which contains the essential idea of the story, appeared as a middle article in the Saturday Review in January 1895. This is the only portion of this story that has been previously published. and it has been entirely recast to adapt it to the narrative form. Strange as it might seem to the unscientific reader, there can be no denying that, whatever amount of credibility attaches the detail to this story, the manufacture of monsters, and perhaps the quasi-human monsters, is within the possibilities of vivisection. I don't know that we're going to have to worry about monsters. I think we're going to be, well, I suppose a half robot, a cyborg man would be a monster of a kind. So, yeah, all right. That's the end of that thing, and I see we stopping, probably construction. But, all right, let's knock it off right there. And thank you so much for coming along. And we're going to start a new one. I think it might be War of the Worlds, or we might step off into a couple of short stories for a while to kind of detune a little bit here. So thank you again so much for coming along, and we'll just get a little further down the road next time. Sam C. And we'll give you over to the big old Rosie, 'cause she knows how to get it right.